mynews.studio.
In a year when poverty rates have dropped to record lows in both Latin America and Indonesia, how is it that so many people are still living on the edge, just one setback away from serious hardship?
Today is November 5th, 2025. Let's start with some numbers. Latin America and the Caribbean are seeing the lowest poverty rates ever recorded. Now, about 1 in 4 people lives in poverty, which is a significant drop compared to 10 years ago.
That certainly marks progress, but let's look a bit closer. Yes, poverty dropped by 4.7 percentage points from 2021 to 2023. But there's something important here. 31% of people in the region are just above the poverty line. Isn't that group still at high risk?
Exactly. More than half of Latin America is either living in poverty or is just one economic shock away from it. What does that really say about their ability to weather a crisis? And if we look at more than just income—
You mean like the new multidimensional poverty index, the MPILA?
Yes, exactly. The MPILA shows that while incomes may have risen, issues like overcrowded housing, unstable employment, limited education, and gaps in healthcare are still persistent.
And those issues are especially stark in rural areas. 57% face multidimensional poverty there, compared to 15.5% in cities. But even in urban areas, poverty is actually rising. Did you realize that now 73% of poor people in Latin America live in cities?
That's a major shift. Now, if we look at Indonesia, poverty is also at a historic low, 8.47% as of March 2025, which is roughly 23.85 million people. It looks impressive on the surface, but is that the full story?
Not quite. Indonesia's official poverty rate uses a very low threshold. If we apply the World Bank's upper middle income line, which is $6.85 a day, over 60% of Indonesians would actually be classified as poor. That's a huge difference.
And that difference isn't just a technicality. Indonesia's own National Economic Council is now suggesting they should raise the official poverty line. The reason? Many people still deal with hunger, stunting, and a lack of basic services, even if the numbers look better.
So that brings up questions about the credibility of these statistics. If people are still experiencing deprivation, but the official numbers say poverty is dropping, doesn't that shake public trust?
It does, and Indonesia isn't alone here. In both Latin America and Indonesia, the traditional poverty metrics often miss these multidimensional factors, things like health, housing, education, and job stability. Even though stunting is down in Indonesia, learning losses from the pandemic and gaps in healthcare still linger.
And back in Latin America, while income poverty is declining, the MPI keeps showing persistent problems in housing, healthcare, and education. These issues don't just disappear when incomes rise a little.
Let's look at what's actually worked. Social Security and targeted government programs have made a real difference in both regions. Indonesia expanded social assistance and focused on reducing stunting, while Latin America's pension reforms and social programs helped shield the poorest from inflation and sudden shocks.
But there's a warning here. If economic growth slows down, or if there's another major shock, like a pandemic or a climate event, these improvements could be lost very quickly. Is this progress really sustainable?
That's the key issue. Both regions have millions living near poor, not officially poor, but still on the edge. In Latin America, that's 31% of the population. In Indonesia, the very proposal to raise the poverty line shows that many remain vulnerable.
So, the main takeaway is that reducing poverty rates is just the beginning. The real challenge is to build resilience and address the underlying vulnerabilities that keep so many people at risk.
And globally, this matters because if progress is possible in Latin America and Indonesia, it's possible elsewhere. But it's a reminder that policy needs to go beyond just raising incomes. It must address multidimensional poverty and foster long-term stability.
To wrap up, record low poverty rates are worth noting, but they don't capture the whole story. Economic vulnerability and multidimensional deprivation are still pressing challenges.
Thanks for joining us as we dug into the numbers and explored what they really mean for the fight against poverty.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening. This episode was powered by mynews.studio. Give it a try for free.